Imagine you're playing your favorite video game. You're mashing the buttons, steering your character, fighting the boss, sweating through the final level. But suddenly, you look down and realize your controller isn't even plugged in. The game is playing itself. Your inputs mean nothing. Now, imagine that game isn't on a screen. Imagine it's your government. What happens when the people, the actual living, breathing citizens, are handed an unplugged controller, while mega corporations and manipulative algorithms play the real game? Today, we are talking about the ghost democracy, a system that looks like a democracy, sounds like a democracy, and holds elections like a democracy. But behind the curtain, it's run entirely by boardroom executives and data brokers. Here is exactly what happens when the people clock out and the corporations clock in. Before we look at the villains of the story, we have to look at how the front door got left wide open. A corporate takeover of a democracy doesn't happen overnight with an evil mastermind laughing in a volcano lair. It happens slowly, through exhaustion. In a healthy democracy, the power comes from the bottom up. But keeping up with local elections, complex bills, and political debates takes a lot of time and energy. Eventually, people start to feel something called political efficacy loss, a fancy term for the sinking feeling that your vote simply doesn't matter. You vote for change, but the potholes stay open, the prices keep rising, and the politicians keep dodging questions. So, you tune out. You stop showing up to town halls. You stop voting in local elections. You drop the controller. But here is the absolute most important rule of politics. Power abhors a vacuum. When millions of regular people step back, that power doesn't just disappear. It gets scooped up by the people who never stop paying attention, the ultra-wealthy and the mega corporations. When citizens log off, lobbyists log in. Let's use a simple example. Imagine a fictional city called Rivertown. Rivertown has a massive factory owned by a giant company called Omnicorp. The factory dumps toxic sludge into the river. If the citizens of Rivertown are active and engaged, they will vote in a mayor who promises to fine Omnicorp and clean up the river. The mayor fears the voters, so the mayor does their job. But what if the citizens are exhausted and distracted? Voter turnout drops to 15%. Omnicorp realizes they don't have to convince the whole town. They just have to fund the campaign of a politician who is friendly to them. They donate $1 million to a candidate, run a bunch of flashy ads, and get their guy elected. Now the mayor doesn't answer to the people of Rivertown. He answers to Omnicorp. When this happens on a national scale, it creates an oligarchy, a system ruled by a small number of powerful people. Here is what that actually looks like in everyday life. The laws are written by the highest bidder. Corporations literally draft laws and hand them to politicians to sign. Profits replace people. Healthcare becomes about maximizing insurance profits, not making people healthy. Housing becomes an asset for Wall Street to trade, not a place for families to live. Monopolies crush competition. Small businesses die out because the giant corporations have lobbied for tax loopholes that only apply to them. The democracy is officially a business, and you are no longer a citizen. You are just a consumer. Now you might be asking, wait, if corporations are stealing our power and ruining our towns, wouldn't the people notice and get mad? Yes, they would. Which brings us to the most crucial tool in the corporate democracy survival kit: manipulation. To keep people from looking up at the people pulling the strings, you have to keep them looking side to side at each other. This is where modern technology and algorithms become weapons of mass distraction. Instead of debating tax laws or corporate regulations, which are boring and threaten corporate profits, the media and political machines feed us a constant diet of culture wars and outrage. They use algorithms designed to trigger your fight-or-flight response. The manipulation playbook. Create an enemy. Convince half the country that the other half is trying to destroy their way of life.
These people are crazy, I'm telling you. They're crazy. The increased prices that all of our citizens had to endure, you caused that problem. You caused that problem. One of the biggest ripoffs of our times, the crushing cost of health care, caused by you. Democrats are destroying our country, but we've stopped it just in the nick of time, didn't we?
Manufacture outrage. Use social media to highlight the most extreme, crazy voices on both sides, making everyone feel like they are constantly under attack.
Yeah, and you're saying that we're less intelligent? Why?
If women didn't have vaginas, most guys would not talk to you.
So, are you talking to me now because you want to have sex with me?
Why do you think a woman in the military is any less than a man except for physical aspects? First of all. Second of all, 75% of healthcare support workers are women. What are you going to do if all those women start going home and making sandwiches and that's all they do? What is your economy going to do? What is your military going to do? Think about it. Like, actually think about that. Tell me about that.
You're in the American military?
Yes.
Oh, God. Okay.
Offer a fake savior. Politicians present themselves as the only ones who can save you from the other side, practically demanding your vote out of fear. While we are busy arguing in the comment sections about what a celebrity said or fighting over a viral video, the corporations quietly pass a tax cut for billionaires in the background. The distraction is the point. So, what is the end game? What happens when this cycle runs for decades? You get a hollowed-out state. On the surface, everything looks normal. The flag still waves, the national anthem still plays, and the voting booths still open every few years. But structurally, the house is eaten by termites. Infrastructure crumbles because fixing bridges doesn't generate quarterly profits for political donors. Wages stagnate because labor unions and workers' rights are dismantled by corporate lobbying. The environment decays because protective regulations are slashed to save companies money. If you've made it this far into the video, you're probably feeling a little depressed. It sounds like a dystopian movie that we are already living in. But here is the plot twist. The controller still works. The corporations and the algorithms only have power because we surrendered it. They spend billions of dollars on manipulation and lobbying for one very specific reason. They are terrified of what happens if we actually pay attention. If money and corporate power were truly unbeatable, they wouldn't try so hard to keep you distracted. The antidote to a corporate-run democracy isn't a violent revolution. It's relentless, boring, everyday engagement. It's turning off the outrage algorithm. It's showing up to local city council meetings. It's supporting independent media, talking to your neighbors in real life instead of fighting with strangers online, and voting in the primary elections, not just the presidential ones.